Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko met on Saturday with U.S. President Donald Trump's envoy for Ukraine and Russia Keith Kellogg in Minsk. According to Associated Press, footage provided by the Belarusian state media showed Lukashenko and Kellogg smiling and greeting each other as the U.S. delegation entered the meeting room. "We really appreciate the hospitality and the invite. We live in very, very perilous times, and the constant concern that we have is a crisis that could escalate and grow, if we're not only cautious, but wise," Kellogg said during the meeting. The Belarusian leader responded by saying the U.S. representatives will be completely safe on Belarusian territory during their visit. Following the rare visit by a senior U.S. official, Belarus released Siarhei Tsikhanouski, a key dissident figure and the husband of exiled opposition leader Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya, her team announced on Saturday. Tsikhanouski, a popular blogger and activist who was jailed in 2020, arrived in Vilnius, Lithuania, alongside 13 other political prisoners, his wife's team said. The release came just hours after Belarusian authorities announced that Lukashenko met with Kellogg in Minsk.
My friend. What the person here? Very close. This is again.
Кто его не знает? Самое медийное лицо в последнее время.
Sergio will have an office like this soon. Sergio.
With all the gold here, this looks a lot like Mar-a-Lago.
It does.
President Trump said.
Рады вас видеть в этом хорошем месте. Шуму вы наделали в мире очень много своим приездом, но я удивляюсь, почему? Разве мы не можем вести нормальные диалоги, разговаривать о наших делах, об отношениях между Беларусью и Соединенными Штатами Америки?
Which we have been.
Как и было до этого.
К нам сегодня. И думаю, что так.
Sir, we really appreciate the hospitality in the invite. We live in very, very perilous times, and the constant concern that we have is a crisis that could escalate and grow if we are not only cautious, but wise.
Господин президент, огромное спасибо за доклады. Мы живем в очень опасное время, когда...
Господин генерал, я вам обещаю, что вы будете в полной безопасности на территории Беларуси, и за это время не произойдет никакой эскалации не только в Беларуси, но и вокруг нас.
Честными, я могу вас заверить, это одно из тех качеств, who is very open and very transparent.
Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, has been declared a target of Israel's Operation People Like a Lion for the first time. This was done after the Jewish state took on a new wave of Iranian attacks on the morning of June the 19th, which included the destruction of a hospital in the south of the country. While inspecting the missile impact sites, Defense Minister Israel Katz of Israel stated for the first time that Khamenei now has no right to live. According to him, as part of the military campaign, the IDF forces received instructions and know that in order to achieve all goals, Khamenei must undoubtedly no longer exist. This is a person who has stood at the head of a powerful nation for decades and has enormous ideological influence, the defense minister explained. He uses it and openly declares that he supports the destruction of Israel. He mobilizes all available resources, even at the expense of his own people, for this purpose. And today we see evidence that he personally gives the order to shell hospitals and residential buildings. Arriving at the Soroka hospital, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu himself publicly supported the topic of eliminating Iran's supreme leader. The head of government explained that no one is immune from an Israeli operation and that all options are on the table, but did not provide additional details about the operational plans. The Israeli leadership has tried to tactfully avoid the topic of Khamenei's possible elimination since the start of Operation People Like a Lion, but in public speeches, Netanyahu has regularly pointed to a possible regime change in Iran as one of the indirect results of the military campaign. As several high-ranking Iranian sources told Reuters, Khamenei's inner circle, which consisted of 15 to 20 military advisors before the war, was significantly thinned out in the first days of the military campaign. However, according to these sources, the survivors include government officials who advise Iran's supreme leader on diplomatic, general political and economic issues. However, the changes in the Islamic Republic's leadership have provoked serious problems within the mechanism of government decision-making and increased the likelihood of strategic miscalculations to an extremely dangerous level, Reuters sources admit. According to multiple recent reports, Asghar Hejazi, Khamenei's senior intelligence advisor and a powerful figure within the Islamic Republic's security apparatus, has entered secret negotiations with Russia to secure an escape route for himself and his family. Russian officials, it is claimed, have offered to guarantee his safe passage out of Iran should the regime collapse or the security situation spiral out of control. Hejazi is no ordinary official. He stands at the nexus of Iran's intelligence and security structure, controlling access to Khamenei and overseeing critical internal operations. Even if he is seeking an exit strategy, it speaks volumes about the level of fear and instability within the regime. The Indian outlet The Week likewise reported secret contacts with Russian intermediaries to plan a secure corridor out of the country in case of regime failure or foreign escalation.